Welcome to GRCADE 9000's Horror House.
So, Nightmare on Elm Street 6 is another Nightmare on Elm Street film which had different scripts knocking about for it, which told different stories to the one which ended up being in the actual recorded movie. Peter Jackson wrote a screenplay that was not used. Peter Jackson, who had just directed the virtually no-budget features Bad Taste and Meet the Feebles in his native country, was approached by New Line, who were impressed with his spirit and his vision. They liked his ideas, and so they sent him to work on writing a Nightmare on Elm Street script. The script, which Peter Jackson co-wrote with Danny Mulheron, was titled A Nightmare on Elm Street 6 The Dream Lover, and the plot was pretty darn interesting. The idea was that Freddy was no longer being taken seriously, that the people of Springwood just saw him as a joke, and that the teens of Springwood would actually take sleeping pills to go into the dream world and beat up on a weak and defenceless Freddy, basically for shits and giggles. No longer feeding on fear, Freddy was nothing but a helpless husk of an old man in the dream world, neither scary nor threatening. But at some point a team would slip up and Freddy would gain the upper hand. And all it would take was for Freddy to actually manage to kill this one kid for him to begin to turn back into the Freddy Krueger we all know, and to start the process of him building fear once again. In a slight way, I think this idea might have fed into Freddy vs. Jason. I mean, in that film, he is pretty much powerless and forgotten, and he has to use Jason to feed the kids fear. All that's missing from the idea is kids visiting the dream world to smack him around. Anyway, Freddy would ultimately regain enough power to take hostage a police officer trapped in the dream world. The officer would be the father of one of the main teens, and this would lead to the kid ultimately having to go back into the dream world to fight Freddy and to help his dad. At the same time Jackson and Mulheron were writing their script, New Line was developing a script by in-house producer Michael DeLuca. This script was titled Freddy's Dead, but at least at first it was pretty far removed from the film we ended up getting. Okay, so originally in this script, a 15-year-old Jacob Johnson, the son of the previous installment's main character Alice Johnson, was the major character of the film. The early drafts of Freddy's Dead also include a concept called the Dream Police. The Dream Police are apparent victims who've become stuck in the dreamscape and are trying to keep control of Freddy. The Dream Police would have been made up of characters who we knew from an earlier film in the franchise, A Nightmare on Elm Street 3 The Dream Warriors. So we would have got to see the likes of Joey and Kincaid make a return. Apparently it would have been the entire gang of Dream Warriors back as Dream Police, and they would have aided Jacob in defeating Freddy after Freddy had murdered his mother Alice. I like the fact that in this form the film would have been much more connected to the previous 3 Elm Street films, and would have been a much more direct continuation of the story. Would end up with the Freddy's Dead we all remember watching, and to know what I think about that, well, you just have to watch my next Nightmare on Elm Street Horror House video, my review of Freddy's Dead. Okay, that's GRCADE 9000 saying I hope you enjoyed this video, boys and ghouls. Welcome to prime time, bitch! Sweet dreams.